set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10, the 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast, May 26th edition, and we're going to have some fun talking about WVU football's transfer portal class, try and talk a little bit about some of the ratings of some of the players that we can kind of garner from the College Football 25 video game, which, of course, shameless plug, I cover the college football video game on my other channel, CFB. I'll try and drop a link here in the YouTube chat, and it might pop up on the Facebook and Twitch for you guys as well to that channel if you're a fan of this video game. But you know, this time of the year, it's kind of that time where content's a little bit slower, not a ton of portal activity for either football or basketball. They'll expect the basketball side of that to heat up. Right now, we're just mainly got some recruiting updates, but that's about to change as well as players are set to report this week. So we'll be having roster updates coming at you here in the near future on the Country Roads webcast. That's something you can expect to be coming out hot and heavy as players enroll, as the official university's roster updated will update ours. So we'll have a ton of roster update videos coming at you over the next couple of months. But in the meantime, in between time, one thing I've been wanting to do is to go and take a look at this transfer portal class for WVU kind of as a whole, right? Because I've broken it apart with the first transfer portal window and now this post-spring transfer portal window in the past. And so, you know, I've told you guys I wanted to look at the class as a whole. And so the first time I've kind of did that, I was like, one way can I do that and talk about how some of these players are rated and look at those ratings and kind of determine how they align with my own. As you guys know, I've done transfer superlative videos for both those transfer portal cycles. And so I took about an hour or two earlier today, went through College Football 25 and looked at West Virginia's players that are going to be transferring into them that transferred from other programs, which of course only able to do that for the FBS editions, right? Only the, you know, Division I transfers, which out of the list I have here, 18 players on offense, 12 on defense. So 30 of West Virginia's 52 player transfer portal class I was able to look at. The others, of course, are coming from FCS Division II and such. But with the ones I was able to look at, I was, you know, a couple of surprises in there, but for the most part, the main surprise was how much the higher rated players kind of lined up with my superlatives that I've named here for both transfer portal classes. But what I want to do is I went through here, like I said, it took an hour or two, got the key ratings for each player that West Virginia is adding, and I went through and sorted it by position. So towards the tail end of this part of the discussion, we'll do a position by position breakdown of each transfer West Virginia is added at that position from the FBS in both transfer portal windows, provide their ratings at that position. And of course, prior to that, though, I thought it'd be fun to give you guys the highest overall players on offense, according to their overall rating on College Football 25, the highest overall players on defense, and then the fastest additions that West Virginia's got according to the speed rating on College Football 25. Then we'll follow that up with a position-by-position breakdown of each player that West Virginia's added from the FBS ranks here. So I think almost 30 players here in total. But appreciate you guys tuning in here that are watching this one live. As I tell you guys what's kind of on the docket for this one, those that are watching on Facebook or Twitch, encourage you as always, come over to the Country Roads Webcast YouTube channel, get access to the pre-recorded videos and podcast episodes like those transfer superlative videos that I put out here on the YouTube side. And those of you that are watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Help us out. That helps us whether you're watching live or on the playback. As my light came unplugged here, so I look a little bit darker. Apologies for that, guys. I'm trying to replug it back in, but I have to go over there to hit the power button to get it to turn back on. So we're just going to have to grin and bear it for the rest of this stream. It's not too terribly dark, at least. But appreciate you guys that are listening on the audio side, hearing me complain about the visuals as well. And you guys that listen to us on the audio side, you can find on any podcast platform. Leave us a rating there. That really helps us out on that side of things. So that's what I've got. If you guys got any questions, comments, throw them in throughout. We're just going to discuss these transfer ratings for the FBS transfers West Virginia is bringing in. Then I do have a couple of small WVU football recruiting news and notes, similar to the ones that we touched on in the previous stream. I'll hit on those, then I'll get some of your all's comments as we go through it here on this May 26th WVU football-centric stream here on the Country Roads webcast, talking the transfer portal class, the FBS transfer editions to be exact, courtesy of College Football 25 ratings. So with no further ado, I babbled on enough to give people time to roll in here. And of course, I'm sure some of you will watch this on a playback anyways. Let's get to it here. Let's talk about it, leading off with the thing I was telling you guys about there, the highest overalls here on each side of the ball. Let's start there first, and I'll share some of these superlative style things here from the College Football 25 ratings. Then I'll get into my handwritten notes here and give you guys the position by position breakdown. So the top 5 highest rated offensive transfer additions for West Virginia coming from the FBS. Of course, this is determined by College Football 25 overall ratings. And number 1 highest rated addition on offense is Grayson Barnes at 83 overall. And man, when we get into the position by position breakdown, he has some really impressive other ratings as well to go along with that high overall. And I think that goes hand in hand with what I talked about here, with his addition being one of the highest rated and best for me in this portal cycle. And then I think he's day one starter coming in at the tight end spot. You know, you look here, the transfers West Virginia brought in from the FBS, he's the highest rated addition on offense with that 83 overall. Then you got running back Jalen Knighton. Pleasantly surprised to see how high overall his was here. 81 overall, the second highest rated addition West Virginia brought in via the transfer portal from the FBS ranks, according to College Football 25. And of course, like I said, initially, this spans both this portal cycle and the first portal cycle. Then you have Walter Youngbear, who was a part of that first transfer portal cycle. Number 3, highest rated there as an offensive lineman with an 80 overall. Then you have Orrin Singleton, better known as Man Singleton, a wide receiver, 79 overall. And then Carson Lee, an offensive lineman the West Virginia just brought in this portal cycle that I've been high on, 79 overall as well. And funny enough, both Orrin Singleton and Carson Lee coming from the same program there at Eastern Michigan, although Carson Lee had transferred to Mississippi State for the spring. So to sum it up, the highest rated offensive additions for West Virginia from the FBS, according to College Football 25 overall ratings: Grayson Barnes, number 1 at 83 overall. Jalen Knighton, number 2 at 81 overall. Walter Youngbear, number 3 at 80 overall. And then tied at 5th, Orrin Singleton, 79 overall, and Carson Lee, 79 overall as well. Which, just to, refresh that with my transfer superlatives, it kind of is funny how it does correlate, because we go back to my original transfer superlatives. And you see I had, that's more for the defensive side, I guess. But you can see when I go to the post-spring, if I can pull up the right tab there, the post-spring transfer portal superlatives is the one I meant to pull up there. My apologies. I had Carson Lee as our biggest impact addition on the offensive side. And the one I was debating to put with was Grayson Barnes, who I had as one of my top 5 favorite transfer additions. So you see 3 of my top 5 favorite additions this portal cycle that we just talked about in the transfer superlatives video that I uploaded on the CRW YouTube channel. 3 of those are in the top 5 highest rated offensive additions that West Virginia brought in overall from the FBS, according to CFB 25, which is pretty cool how that lines up. Let's talk about the defensive, though. The defensive side, spanning both the initial transfer portal cycle and this post-spring transfer portal cycle. Here are the top 5 highest-rated defensive additions from the FBS, courtesy of the College Football 25 overall ratings. Number 1, cornerback addition, Michael Coates Jr., 83 overall. So you see, if you look at both of these, both Grayson Barnes on offense and Michael Coates on defense are the highest overall additions, according to College Football 25 at 83 overall. Michael Coates Jr., I told you guys in that, first portal cycle, him and Jamori Robinson, who we'll talk about momentarily, were both gems of that portal cycle for West Virginia. I thought Michael Coates was one of the best cornerbacks, definitely one of the best cover guys. And we'll talk more about that when we do the rating breakdown by position here momentarily. But 83 overall just shows you how impressive he is there. And then one that we talked about recently in this portal cycle is the number 2 safety, Darian Lewis from Akron, 81 overall, highest rated safety on Akron. I think he's their highest overall defensive player on their team there at Akron, he was. And then Jamori Robinson, the edge rusher, going to be playing more of the defensive end role at West Virginia. He's listed as a right outside linebacker on CFB 25, but 80 overall for Jamori, which technically the 3, 4, and 5 guys here are all the same overall. Which next up, Chase Wilson, the linebacker from Colorado State, I've been super high on. He's an 80 overall. And then Eddie Kelly in this portal cycle, a defensive line addition, 80 overall as well. So what I like here is you get a good mix of guys from that first portal cycle with Chase Wilson, Jamori Robinson, and Michael Coates Jr., and then a couple of guys from this most recent portal cycle, Darian Lewis and Eddie Kelly. So all guys, they're going to be battling for first-team spots, you would assume here, just based on these ratings alone and kind of how highly we regarded them when we talked about them initially committing to WVU. So to sum up the highest-rated defensive additions for WVU, according to College Football 25 overall rating, cornerback Michael Coates at number 1 with 83 overall. Safety Darian Lewis, number 2 with 81 overall. And then 3 guys all at 80 overall, those being edge Jamori Robinson, linebacker Chase Wilson, and defensive lineman Eddie Kelly Jr., which yet again, now I could pull up that initial transfer superlatives that I did after that first portal cycle and talk a little bit about that now and how that lines up, because you can see there my biggest impact addition on defense was Jamori Robinson. My diamond in the rough addition was Chase Wilson, both represented on these top 5 defensive ratings. And then my top 5 favorite additions, of course, Michael Coates was in there with Jamori Robinson as well. So all those are names that are present here on these top 5 rankings, which the most surprising part to me was that Cam Vaughn was there on the top 5 offensive ratings. But that's mainly, I think, because he was super underrated on College Football 25, if you're asking me. Both overall rating and particularly his speed rating, I think, was pretty undervalued. But that transitions us nicely into our next little section we want to talk about here. And then we will get into the position-by-position breakdown here, where we talk about all 30 FBS transfers and their rating according to College Football 25. But the last one, I thought this would be fun because this is something we want to highlight, right? Something that's exciting for fans. And of course, something that Rich Rod talked about wanting to add to the team was more speed. And we know how he loves that. So how about the transfer additions that have a 90-plus speed rating according to College Football 25? And we have more than a handful of them here. Most of these here at the skill positions. We knew West Virginia wanted to get faster there. They did at running back and receiver, but got a couple of defensive backs on this list as well. So this is how it breaks down here according to College Football 25 speed rating. Wide receiver Christian Hamilton, the highest speed rating that West Virginia brought in at 92 speed there coming from UNC. Then Man Singleton, who rates really nicely on College Football 25, 91 speed for him. Also a 91 speed for Jared Bowie, the wide receiver coming from Jack State. Jalen Knighton, the running back addition, 90 speed. And we've talked about his home run hitting ability. How about the other Jack State receiver that West Virginia just added in this portal cycle, Jordan McCants at 90 speed. And then a couple of defensive backs here, Devontae Golden Nelson, the defensive back West Virginia brought in from Akron, their highest rated cornerback on that video game as well. So West Virginia gets the highest rated corner from Akron, the highest rated safety from Akron, and Devontae Golden Nelson with good speed at 90 speed there. And then Derek Carter, a defensive back from Jack State, 90 speed as well. So those are the players with 90 plus speed from the FBS ratings that West Virginia is bringing in here according to College Football 25. Which then brings us to, let's discuss all 30 of the FBS transfer additions West Virginia is bringing in and how they rate according to College Football 25. But let me take a swig of my coffee real quick before I do that. My mouth's a little dry here after running through some of the superlatives there. But as I do that, I just want to remind you guys that are watching on Facebook and Twitch, I appreciate you guys that watch this live, but be sure to come over to the Country Roads Webcast YouTube channel, subscribe here, stay up to date on the portal activity for both WVU basketball and WVU football, and of course roster news for both those sports. Like I said, going to have plenty of WVU football roster update videos coming as players begin to enroll here this coming week. And if you are watching here on YouTube, whether live or on the playback, just hit the thumbs up button, help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. If you didn't get a chance to share your thoughts here in the live chat, which we'll get to some of those comments before we wrap up, you can share your thoughts in the comments on the playback. Appreciate those interactions as well. And those of you that listen on the audio side, leave us a rating. That helps us out on that side of things. That being said, take a swig of my coffee. Then we'll get to talking about all 30 of the FBS transfer additions West Virginia has brought in across both transfer portal cycles and how they rate on the College Football 25 video game position by position. All right, much better, much better. That coffee hits the spot there. So, all right, I don't have this up on the screen for you guys, but I have it jotted down here in my notes where I initially wrote all this down by hand. Like I said, took an hour or two earlier, went through West Virginia's transfer in list, found what players I could find that were on College Football 25, which is, of course, just the FBS editions, save for a couple of guys that weren't on the game. A couple that come to mind are cornerback Nick Taylor from App State. It's not on College Football 25, so he's not listed here. And tight end Ryan Ward from UNC, same goes for him, not on the game, so he's not listed here. I think those are the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Position by position breakdown. 18 guys on offense, 12 guys on defense. Let's talk about the ratings of West Virginia's FBS transfer additions according to College Football 25. At the wide receiver spot, West Virginia brings in 5 guys from the FBS here, and here's how they rate on the College Football 25 video game. Cam Vaughn, who I said I thought was the most underrated, but still not a bad rating at 78 overall. I think a lot of that is due to him, being a freshman last season. A lot of times freshmen don't get that highly rated, and especially, not knowing what he was going to be probably coming into it. I know they updated the roster throughout the season, so it probably improved it a lot to get to this 78, and he was still one of their higher overall receivers, but I thought he would be higher than that. And particularly, I thought he'd have much better speed, as he only has 87 speed, 90 acceleration on the game. I think when you look at College Football 26 coming out, which is coming out here July 10th for the standard release, July 7th for the early release. And like I said, be sure to check out my CFB YouTube channel if you're interested in more about the college football video game. I do gameplay content, and I have been covering news for the College Football 26 game as well. And I will drop a link to that channel there in the chat for you guys that may want to check it out there as well, since I forgot to do that earlier. But Cam Vaughn, I think, will have a higher speed rating on College Football 26. But on this one, 87 speed, 90 acceleration. And then a couple of his receiving ratings, 85 catching, 88 jump rating. So he's actually the second highest overall receiver West Virginia picked up here, according to College Football 25. Personally, I would have that flipped, and that's not a knock on Oren Singleton, man Singleton. I think he's going to be a good receiver for WVU as well. But I think Cam Vaughn is bona fide wide receiver 1 for West Virginia coming in this transfer portal class. I think he'll be wide receiver 1 this year. So I would rate him a little bit higher, but that's just me. But let's talk a little bit about Oren Singleton now. He's a 79 overall, the highest overall according to College Football 25. Has that great 91 speed with a 93 acceleration, so shows his ability there. 85 catching, 86 jump rating, and also included his 90 change of direction, because I think that shows what you see if you go watch Man Singleton's tape, and that's that he has a lot of elusiveness to go with the good speed here. I think he can be an explosive slot receiver for West Virginia this upcoming season, and certainly wouldn't rule him out as being a potential return man for the Mountaineers as well. Then you have Gerard Bowie, who doesn't have the best overall rating by any means, only a 66 overall on the game. I think a lot of that is because he didn't really come on until late in the season. Actually, Jack State's bowl game was his best game of the season. So now in his final year of playing football, maybe he's looking to really have his best season yet. But where he does excel is, speed, and he's another slot guy there for you. 91 speed, 89 acceleration, only a 76 catch rating, 85 jump rating for Gerard Bowie there at the wide receiver position. But he wasn't the only receiver West Virginia brought in from Jack State. We talked about Cam Vaughn. They also just recently brought in Jordan McCants. And Jordan McCants, another good speed guy from Jack State, right? 72 overall for Mr. McCants, 90 speed, 92 acceleration. So highest acceleration. Booby's got him edged out a little bit on speed there, but as far as the Jack State editions, he has the highest acceleration. And then you have the 79 catch rating, 87 jump rating. And then Christian Hamilton. When you look at his ratings here on College Football 25, he may be, at least, by my account and by the way I've been talking about here, maybe he's the most underrated addition West Virginia's brought in this transfer portal cycle, because he did come in here in the post-spring cycle. He's another outside receiver, and he's a guy with multiple years of eligibility remaining, and he already has a 77 overall, so right there nearly with what Cam Vaughn has, and his speed and acceleration rate near, closer to what I would have had Cam Vaughn's at as Christian Hamilton. Look at these numbers: 77 overall, 92 speed, 94 acceleration, 84 catching, and a 90 jumping. So highest jumping. So, according to College Football 25, they're definitely rating Christian Hamilton as probably the most athletic receiver West Virginia picked up, which is interesting here. And I think maybe he's a guy that'll factor into some of those position battles at that outside receiver spot as we look to see who will fill it out. I think Cam Vaughn will hold down one of them, but you're still going to have it too deep there. Somebody's got to back him up, and you got to have somebody on their other side there, whether it's Jaden Bray, whether it's, Christian Hamilton, somebody else that West Virginia's bringing in. But here's the FBS additions West Virginia brought in a receiver and how they rate. Those were the names. Those were the ratings. Now at running back, only one FBS addition. We do know West Virginia brought in Ty Edwards, but he's from the FCS and are on the game. Same goes for the other couple additions, Kanan Katzer and Sincere Bowers as well. So we only have Jalen Knighton to talk about here, but man, I love to talk about him. And you guys know I've raved about him in the past, and College Football 25 has him rated highly as well. 81 overall. You saw him there on the top 5 offensive additions. Overall rating, but he also, what I really like here is 90 speed, 93 acceleration, 80 break tackle rating, 92 change of direction, so shows, the ability to make people miss there, and 83 carrying rating, taking care of the rock. So that's what West Virginia has there at the running back position. Quarterbacks. Of course, we brought in 2 FBS transfers here, Max Brown from Charlotte and Jalen Henderson from Texas A&M. If you've heard me talk about these quarterbacks in the past, you've probably heard these ratings, and I've also given Nico Marchios on the game before in the past. But as far as Max Brown is concerned, 75 overall, 82 speed, 83 acceleration, 85 carrying, 92 throw power, 82 short accuracy, 82 medium accuracy, 72 deep accuracy. So definitely a lot better on the run ratings than his passing ratings. And then Jalen Henderson from Texas A&M, 78 overall, 85 speed, 86 acceleration. But then you look at his passing rating, same throw power with the 92, but much more accurate. 85 short accuracy, 84 medium accuracy, but then 10 points better with the 82 deep accuracy. So you like the numbers there for Jalen Henderson. Tight end, West Virginia adds 2 from the FBS ranks here. Jacob Barrick from Jack State in the first portal cycle, 69 overall, 76 speed, 83 acceleration, 79 catching, 58 pass blocking, 64 run blocking for Jacob Barrick. Not the best grades. I think he's a little bit better player than the grades he's given there on College Football 25. But nonetheless, that brings us to talking about one of the most impressive players that I looked at here when I went through and did this exercise. And I think, I already raved about him enough and said he's going to be day one starter. But man, I don't want to say I was undervaluing him, but I don't think I brought into account how much of a big play threat he can be, according to these ratings here. And that's Grayson Barnes, the tight end addition from Northern Illinois. We talk about him being one of the highest rated overall with the 83 overall rating. But what most impressed me, guys, 87 speed rating for a tight end. So he has the same speed rating as Cam Vaughn on this video game. That's nuts. 85 acceleration, and then really good 87 catching rating, 60 pass block, 57 run blocking. So you love what Grayson Barnes brings to the table there as a receiver, according to his ratings in College Football 25, which then brings us to where West Virginia has the most FBS additions, which is nice and what we needed probably, and that's along the offensive line here as we have, let me count them up really quickly here, 8 FBS additions to go with I think there's 12 in total for the Mountaineers. But of the 8 FBS additions here, we'll run through them. Walter Youngbear has the highest overall, as we talked about earlier, 80 overall. He has 88 strength rating, 83 pass blocking, 77 run blocking. Then you get Kimo Makaniole from LSU, 75 overall, 85 strength, 78 pass blocking, 75 run blocking. Robbie Martin, the young man originally from Huntington, coming from NC State, 69 overall. Let's remember he's a young guy. 86 strength, 74 pass blocking, 70 run blocking. Tykeist Crawford coming over from Arkansas. Pretty high overall rating for him as well, 78 overall. 91 strength, 75 pass blocking, 80 run blocking. Like that run blocking grade. Josh Isosa coming over from Oklahoma. Another young guy. Remember, this is a guy that hasn't played a lot, similar to what Robbie Martin. We talked about him there. 67 overall, 85 strength, 67 pass blocking grade, 67 run blocking grade. Malik Agbo from Texas, 78 overall. Another good overall player there. 93 strength, 79 pass blocking, 69 run blocking. Carson Lee, we talked about him, high overall player there. One of the top 5 additions on offense here from the FBS with his 79 overall. Also possesses 87 strength rating, 82 pass blocking, one of the better pass blocking grades to go along with the 78 run blocking grade. So I think, he has some of the most balance between pass and run blocking grades on here. And then Aiden Bussell, really impressed with his rating because he's a guy with multiple years remaining, but he had 76 overall, 86 strength, 79 pass blocking, 76 run blocking. So you look at these additions, and like I said, this doesn't include all the offensive line additions, just the ones from the FBS. So, there's some other guys I'm high on there that's not included on this list, like Mikel Clay, some others. But even just from these names, you see West Virginia has 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that are 78 plus overalls, as you see how West Virginia is really bringing in a lot of competition there to compete on that offensive line, and are going to not only find their 5 best, but they're going to have really good guys to potentially be, part of a rotation or be there low and behold if anything happens. I think West Virginia can form a good 2 deep with all the additions that they brought in. Just have to hope they gelled it together chemistry wise. But you look here, Malik Agbo 78 overall, Tykeist Crawford 78 overall, Carson Lee 79 overall, Walter Youngbear 80 overall. So really love those pickups there on the offensive line there with the College Football 25 rating. So there's the 18 offensive FBS additions and a position-by-position breakdown according to the College Football 25 ratings. And you see why I'm excited about this portal class, even when you go back and look at how they rated on last year's video game, and you know that some of these ratings are probably going to be even a little bit higher in some of these guys' cases when we approach College Football 26. But that takes us to the 12 defensive names we got to run through here before we wrap this up, including the one special teams name as well. So I guess 11 defensive guys and one special teams name here as far as FBS transfers are concerned. So let's start it off here with the safety position. 2 FBS additions. We've had a chance to talk about one of them already in Darian Lewis, the Akron pickup that I'm really high on, and his College Football 25 grades do not disappoint. 81 overall, 89 speed, 92 acceleration, 77 man coverage, 80 zone coverage. Really good there between both man and zone coverage. That's great for a safety on the game. And then Fred Perry, another good pickup for the Mountaineers, probably going to play the nickel spot. And what I love about him is he's a headhunter, kind of brings that Carl Joseph style of play to the game, right? And on College Football 25, you see that in some of his ratings here. 76 overall, 85 speed, 90 acceleration. And here's that Carl Joseph-esqueness that I'm talking about with the 83 hit power rating, 73 man coverage, 72 zone coverage. Let's continue on with the secondary additions here. Let's talk about the cornerback pickups. West Virginia adds 4 from the FBS that are listed on College Football 25. There is another one, at least, in Nick Taylor. Same goes back on the offensive side. Ryan Ward from UNC is a pickup, but he's not on the game. So at the cornerback spot, you get Michael Coach Jr., who, man, his ratings on this game just got me even more excited about him. And you guys know I was super excited about him already. Thought he was, one of the gems of both the entire transfer portal class for West Virginia. He's a guy that can lock down one side of the field for you. He's got one of the starting spots locked up. It's just who's going to start on the other side of him, who's going to be your, in your 2 deep there at the cornerback spots. But Michael Coach Jr., I think is, QB1, day 1. 83 overall, 88 speed, 91 acceleration. But look at this, 87 man coverage, has the press blanket ability on the game, 83 zone coverage, and 84 press coverage. That's why, he has that blanket coverage ability, that's press specialty on the game. And then, a guy that's going to be competing to be, maybe one of the other starting corners, and that's Derek Carter from Jack State. And he has good ratings on the game. I was impressed by this, pleasantly surprised to see that he had a 78 overall, 90 speed. We talked about him a little bit in the speed category earlier. 92 acceleration, 74 man coverage, 78 zone coverage, 79 press coverage. And then Devontae Golden Nelson, highest overall cornerback on the Akron team, 76 overall. He also has 90 speed, 94 acceleration. So you like the burst there. 76 man coverage, 75 zone coverage, 70 press coverage. And then Jason Chambers from Appalachian State, another guy that's going to be in that position battle there at the cornerback spot. 73 overall, 89 speed, 91 acceleration, 73 man coverage, 72 zone coverage, 71 press coverage. So you look there at the additions West Virginia picked up, and, Jason Chambers, the lowest rated with a 73 overall, but let's not forget he also has a connection with West Virginia's cornerbacks coach, Rod West, who came from App State as well. So, he's someone that the quarterback coach values. He's definitely someone that's probably going to factor into these position battles. But you look at what West Virginia brought in the secondary just with these FBS additions, and every single player I just named there across the safety and cornerback spot is 76 plus overall. Fred Perry at 76 at safety, Devontae Golden-Nelson at 76 at corner. Then you get Derek Carter at 78 overall at corner, Darian Lewis, 81 overall at safety, and then Michael Coates Jr., one of the highest rated overall transfer additions, period, with the 83 overall. So you love West Virginia going out trying to improve the secondary, and you see it there in some of these college football 25 ratings. Let's talk linebacker position now. And this is where we're going to talk. We're going to include Jamori Robinson here with the linebackers, although we know he's more of an edge rusher, going to be more of a defensive end at WVU. Apologies for this episode running a little bit longer, but hey, we had a lot to discuss and a lot of fun things to discuss, and I will still hit those recruiting updates and hit some of y'all's comments before we wrap up. But at the linebacker spot, this is how it rates here. Chase Wilson from Colorado State, 80 overall. Not the fastest on the game, 78 speed, 85 acceleration. I think his speed's a little bit underrated there, but you love the 84 tackling rate. You love the 73 block shedding. He also has 67 man coverage, but 75 zone coverage, which is a really good coverage grade there for a middle linebacker. And then, of course, Jamori Robinson, like we talked about, listed as a right outside linebacker on the game, 80 overall. 73 speed. I think his speed's being a little bit underrated as well. 81 acceleration, but 87 tackle grade. 88 finesse moves, which is one of the higher ratings in the finesse moves category on the entire video game, as is 81 block shedding, 72 zone coverage for him, 58 man coverage. But the 72 zone coverage, not too terrible for a player that plays his position. But one of the more surprising players here when I looked at the ratings was John Lewis. And I think I talked about him a little bit when we first brought him in and talked about this a little bit, because at the linebacker position, he's actually a 76 overall at the right outside linebacker spot there at Mississippi State. But what's super impressive is his speed. 88 speed for a linebacker. So he has a higher speed rating than Cam Vaughn and Grayson Barnes that we were talking about on the offensive side, and 92 acceleration. So John Lewis going to bring a little bit of speed to West Virginia's defense, it looks like, if college football 25's ratings are to be believed. 73 tackling, 71 block shedding, 65 man coverage, and 69 zone coverage for him. And then the young freshman West Virginia brought in from North Carolina, Ashton Woods, 68 overall, 80 speed, 88 acceleration, 81 tackling, which is good tackling rating there for a freshman, 71 block shedding, 59 man coverage, 72 zone coverage, which you could work with that rating for a player that young. And then the final two to talk about here on defense, the defensive line addition of Eddie Kelly is probably being undervalued a little bit as well, because he's an 80 overall player on this game coming over from Missouri, another Power 5 addition for West Virginia that can help on that defensive line, 72 speed, 87 strength rating. You like that? 78 acceleration, 83 tackling grade, 82 power moves, 71 finesse moves, and 84 block shedding grade. So on the game, to have him with an even higher block shedding grade than Jamori Robinson, which is surprising. And then last, but certainly not least, West Virginia's new place kicker for the upcoming season, Cade Hensley from Coastal Carolina, is a 72 overall on the game, has an 87 kick power and 83 kick accuracy. So there you have it, position by position breakdown of all the FBS transfers West Virginia has added according to their college football 25 ratings that are pertinent to their position to go along with the highest overalls that we talked about there on some of the more faster players there for the 30 additions that are on the college football 25 game that West Virginia brought in from the FBS ranks. So wanted to highlight that. Other than that, guys, got a couple of transfer portal update. I'm not transfer portal, but excuse me, high school recruiting updates as we continue to talk about this recruiting class for West Virginia. Some positive ones here. Some more guys that list West Virginia in their finalist list. And one here that I'm definitely keeping a close eye on is 4-star athlete LaRon Dews, of course, brother of Tyshawn Dews, previous, WVU commit already. And he has West Virginia in his top 5, which is big because he is, highly sought after by a lot of big name programs. You even look at the top 5 here, you see pretty much all Power 5 schools, Georgia Tech, Indiana, Oregon, West Virginia, of course, and South Florida. And we'll pull up LeRon Dew's profile here really quickly on 247 to talk about him. Listed as a cornerback here, not yet rated on 247. I don't think he's rated yet on Rivals, but a couple of recruiting services do have him as a 4-star, and it's believed he'll be close to that or borderline on both of these other recruiting services. We'll see how it turns out. But 5'9", 180-pound corner out of Florida would be a nice pickup for West Virginia in this class. And you look at the teams involved with him. Of course, you see the names there that were on the top 5 list, but you just scroll through here, and it's a who's who. Arizona, Kentucky, Memphis. I mean, you go Wake Forest, to go on through the list, the others that we named as well. A lot of Power 5, Power Conference programs going after LeRon Dew. So glad to see West Virginia make his top 5. And then additionally, West Virginia also has made the top 5 for offensive lineman recruit Justin Lyles. Top 6, rather, he has listed here. And you got to think, when you look at some of the other schools that are in the top 6, if he's wanting to go to, a power conference school, it's going to have to be WVU, right? Because of the other finalists are, of course, Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green, Tulsa, and Marshall. And Justin Lyles, a 3-star recruit, but would be a pickup for the offensive line. He's believed to be an interior offensive lineman, according to 247 here, which he is from the state of Ohio. They're in Cincinnati in this 2026 class. But, one of the top players in Ohio, nearly a top 60 player there in Ohio, nearly a top 100 offensive lineman on the interior there in the country, 86th grade and a 3-star according to 247. And then lastly, a Pennsylvania recruit from the WPIAL that West Virginia is a finalist for as well. This one coming from WVSportsNow.com, talking about linebacker Colson Gatton, putting West Virginia in his top 5, believed to be a middle linebacker recruit. But look at some of his offers here as well. You see big names like Arizona, Boston College, Cal, Cincy, Duke, Louisville, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Penn State, of course, Spit, Syracuse, Tennessee, Texas A&M, VT, Wake Forest, WVU, Wisconsin. But the finalist is Duke, Indiana, Oklahoma, Spit, and, of course, WVU for linebacker Colson Gatton, which if we look at his profile here, really quickly, we can see that he is highly regarded here in this 2026 class. 6'1", 215, out of Pittsburgh, but a top player in the state of Pennsylvania, nearly a top 25 player in the state of Pennsylvania to be exact, a top 60 linebacker in the country, 87 graded 3-star there on 247. So those are 3 names to keep an eye on, as West Virginia is a finalist for those as well, to join the 3 others that I think we mentioned in the previous live stream. So there's a quick recruiting update to join our transfer portal discussion as we talked about the ratings of some of West Virginia's FBS editions, courtesy of the College Football 25 video game. And like I said, check out my JC CFB channel if you're a fan of that game. I dropped the link in here for you guys in the live stream. You guys that are watching after the fact on the playback here on the CRW YouTube channel can just go to the CRW YouTube channel homepage, scroll down, and you can see that channel listed as well as my other channel, JC's Movies, where I cover movie news and do movie reviews. But other than that, take a final swig of my coffee here, catch up on some of y'all's comments, and we will call it a show here as we've covered the ratings of the West Virginia FBS Transfer Portal editions. And I hope you guys had enough fun taking that in as I did crafting it for the hour or two I spent earlier, just kind of getting the ratings of some of these transfer pickups that West Virginia has added from the FBS ranks. And with that being said, let's get some of your all's comments and then we will call it a show here. Larry Westfall, appreciate you tuning in and chiming in, says, let's go, Mountaineers. Hey, that's right, Larry. Indeed, brother. Charles says, leave no doubt. Hey, that's right. Hopefully the Mountaineers leave no doubt this upcoming season to start the Rich Rod 2.0 era, Charles. Hey, my guy Matthew says, what's up, bro? What's going on, Matthew? Appreciate you, as always, helping me keep up with this recruiting news and transfer portal news. Buck Robinette says, Rich Rod going to surprise some people this year. I think so, too, man, and I think when you look at, what we've talked about lately with, Jamori Robinson being on ESPN's top transfer list, we've talked about it being, top 15 transfer portal class according to Rivals. And now even when you look at the ratings, according to the College Football 25 video game last year, a lot of really highly rated guys both on offense and defense, that are going to be in the 2 deep this season for WVU that I think are going to factor in. And that's just with the FBS editions. We've also found some hidden gems coming from the FCS ranks as well that we need to keep an eye on. So I think that, Buck, you're probably spot on with that. Rich Rod may surprise people this upcoming season. I'll tell you what, I got faith in it because that 5.5 over-under win line, the season total they have it set for on DraftKings, went ahead and threw some money on that over there on DraftKings. I think West Virginia's going to get at least 6. I think we'll be at least a bowl team. So, if you don't think that, then they probably will surprise you, because I think that's the floor for me, is being a bowl team. That's what I think, Buck. I think Rich Rod going to surprise some people as well. And my guy Eric Flower says, "What's up, everyone? Good to see you as always, Eric." Always got to thank Eric for the West Virginia mugs there that always are in the background present there. Had a couple of them, but then he really made my collection splash there in the background. And appreciate you for that always, Eric, and appreciate all you guys that are in here and tune in live here, subscribers or as channel members, which no better time to become a channel member. Hit that join button down below. We appreciate that. Helps keep this mic recording and that camera rolling for you guys to watch here on YouTube. Once the season rolls around, of course, for the football team, you'll get film reviews, you'll get player grades, you'll get snap counts, injury reports, depth chart projections, and then also here coming up starting next month, we're going to be rolling into our film review for the offseason, when we go back, look at Jack State's offense, try and see what we can expect to see from the scheme here as Rich Rod returns. And then we'll take a look at Oklahoma's defense with Zach Alley and Jack State's defense from the year before when Zach Alley was there as well, to try and see what we can learn from Zach Alley's scheme. That's what I'll be doing with the channel members over the summer. So if you'd like to become one, hit the join button. Always appreciate that support. Helps keep this channel rolling. And you guys are the catalyst that helps keep it going all the time. And the fast, easy, and free way you can help us out, if you can't help us out by becoming a channel member, is just by hitting that thumbs up button if you're watching here on YouTube, whether you're watching live or on the playback. If you're listening on the audio side, leave us a rating. That helps us out there, which you can find us in any podcast platform. And those of you on Facebook or Twitch, come over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button so you can get these videos straight into your feed as well. Appreciate you guys that tuned in here live. Appreciate you guys that watching the playback as well. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and I'll be back here in the near future as the basketball portal action heats up. We'll be talking some WVU basketball transfer portal updates and some fun stuff on that side of things. And we'll have plenty to discuss here on the football side. As I said, roster updates are going to be coming. Players are enrolling. These guys are making it to Morgantown this week, guys. So fun time. Can't wait to continue to talk and chat with you guys throughout this off season. But until next time, let's go Mountaineers.